certain amount of time to build up that nest egg or that financial reserve that we need in order to propel us into the next chapter of our life. Ryan, you're going through buying a new home, and I'm sure that home comes with an additional set of expenses. Scott, I know your life is starting out on a different path, and you're going to have your own set of expenses, and whatever you plan on turning your life into, you're going to need a decent income to be able to support that. So I look at this and I go, because I met with one of my financial planners 2 weeks ago, and anytime I sit down with one of my financial advisors, it's always fun to hear what he tells me I need to have saved by the time I'm ready to retire. And I look at him and I go, this is insane. There's no way that I'm going to be able to live the life that I have today when I'm 55, 65, or whatever the age that he thinks I need to retire by. But it was funny because when he started telling me all this, and then I read this chapter in the book, I think it was Sunday, this came out at me and I'm like, holy cow, we don't have a lot of time. We do things really, really well. I mean, we're always engaged, we're always persistent in our efforts, but what is it that's preventing us from really hitting that goal? What is it that's really preventing us from achieving that financial success? And I know, Ryan, you're on track. I know Mark is well on his way. Scott, I know that you're just getting into this again, but tell me what it is about reaching these units and following this lead tracker, Scott, that means so much to you. What is it about this that has changed you as it relates to getting you motivated to do this?
I guess the main thing is, and I'm starting a new chapter, obviously, and a little older than the rest of you guys, but it gets me focused as far as acknowledging that it's not overwhelming when you break it down to its, kind of its core principles,
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, I mean, you put it, instead of looking at how many closings, how much you're making at the end of the year, you're kind of putting it down to how many leads, So if you focus on, the core, the initial smaller stuff,
Yep.
Bite-sized pieces, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yep.
It doesn't become overwhelming where you say, oh shit, I got to make $2 million by the time I'm, 65. Like when you look at that number, if you look at that number, you can see a path perhaps. If I look at that same number your financial planner gave you at 51, I'd be like, shoot myself now. But
right.
Put yourself into the foundation, the core, like that thing, how do you eat an elephant, one bite at a time.
Right.
And that's kind of where I see you guiding me. As don't get overwhelmed by how many closings next week, next month. Just focus on your leads. Your leads will walk you through the rest. So
and
that's what I'm kind of getting out of it,
And I think that's what Coach Wooden's book really has kind of talked about as well. There is a pyramid. There is a fundamental basis that everything has to start. And I've repeated this over and over again in a couple of the classes. Our job isn't to close loans. Our number one concern is to generate leads. And Scott, when I pull up your lead tracker and I see 2 leads for the month of October, that's not bad. But my question is, where did those leads come from? One was a realtor and one was a friend, correct?
Correct, a personal one, yeah.
Okay, so which leads me into the message that I really want to kind of get across to you two today, which is really simply this. So I read a couple books at a time, and there's another book out there called Selling 101 by Zig Ziglar. Has anybody heard of him?
I have.
Okay. Has anybody read any of his books?
No.
Okay. So I think this is an amazing. This was an epiphany for me, and I had this same conversation with Denise actually yesterday, and she moved from Florida to Michigan, and she and I were having a discussion on what she should do with her email address. Her biggest fear was that if she gets rid of her Florida email address, she's going to lose business. And I said, well, that's absolutely true if you don't apply it to your database the right way. And what I meant was, every time you have a change in your company, every time you have a change in your career, every time you have a change in anything that you do, I always looked at it as an opportunity to reconnect with your past clients or the people in your life that mean something to you. What Zig Ziglar talks about in his chapter 10, as a matter of fact, he talked about, well, he started out with a story that had to do with Henry Ford. So back when Henry Ford was at the peak of his manufacturing career, he had actually gone out and taken out one of the largest insurance policies on himself known to any business person in history. And one of Henry Ford's dearest friends was an insurance salesman. Well, upon hearing about Henry Ford's decision to buy the policy and have it not be bought through his friend came to him and said, why did you buy an insurance policy from somebody other than me? And what do you think his response was? What do you think Henry Ford's response was to that question?
I didn't know you were
in the business.
You didn't ask.
Yeah.
And so what we do as salespeople is amazing. I mean, we always do a needs analysis. We're always polite. We're always engaged. We always understand. We always seek to gain information and knowledge to help make a decision for somebody, but we always fail to ask. And the real test to any good salesperson is really to identify that if you were to, it's really to identify how good of a person you really are to your database. And within your database, you have the people who know you, like you, and trust you. You have your friends, your family, your coworkers, your sphere of influence. You have all these people. How many of those people in your sphere of influence or in your database are doing something that you do to get paid for, but not using you because they don't know you need their help? They don't know that you would love to earn their business. So we talk about how many leads we have on our sheet. We have, Ryan, you have 4, Scott, you have 2, and it's the 7th of the month. There are easy ways to pick up the phone and have conversations with people who enjoy talking to you already. But my question to each of you is this. If you were to sit down and really think about your entire database, whether it's 100 people or 2,000 people, how many of those people are probably engaged in a conversation with somebody else in their life that could actually help you with your own personal business? But the reason they're not directing them to you, the reason they don't know to send them to you, is because we have never asked. I've changed my company, went from Concord Financial to Vista to Success. And every time I did that, I ran the huge risk of losing business. And I was so fearful and so scared that I really didn't know how to handle it. And one of the coaches, when I was going through that, really simply said this: use it as an opportunity. Use it as an opportunity to reconnect with your clients. Now, it shouldn't take a move of business to make you want to pick up the phone and tell somebody you changed your email, you changed your phone number, you opened up a company, you closed a company, you moved your business into another. It doesn't matter. What it means is that you got to find a reason to want to pick up the phone and ask. And I think Zig Ziglar talks about it very blatantly, is that there are huge opportunities that are missed. This insurance agent lost out on probably the biggest commission of his entire life because his best friend went another direction and didn't choose to use him because he failed to ask. I bet you if you guys really sat back and looked at it, if you were to give me a number of how many people in your life are actually doing something in relationship to mortgages, whatever number it is that you gave me is probably going to be a lot lower than the real number. And that's the part I want you guys to really, kind of focus in on. There's never going to be a shortage of lead opportunities. There's never going to be a shortage of loan opportunities if you found the time to pick up the phone and simply have a conversation with somebody and ask. Anybody who's willing to talk to either one of you guys, let's be honest, they all already know you. They all already like you, and they all already trust you. Back to the mindset that we started with, Ryan. You have to want to believe, or you have to believe, not want to believe, you have to believe that when you talk to somebody, you bring a value to them that makes them feel like you mean something. And it's not inappropriate, it's not awkward to ask them for help. Just think for a moment if that insurance agent had simply said to Henry Ford, hey, if you ever think about it, I would love to earn your business. I would love to be able to help you with any kind of insurance need that you have. If you're ever thinking about getting a policy, big or small, please don't forget about me. Please don't keep me a secret. Do you think that conversation may have led to an opportunity for that agent to get Henry Ford's business?
Absolutely.
So when I look at your lead trackers, and I know what your goals are, I wonder how many of you are sitting back waiting for the phone to ring versus how many of you guys are actually picking up the phone and proactively calling the people that you already know, like, and trust. You never know what you're going to get until you actually pick up the phone or have those conversations. So this past week, when I look at the volume of referrals that you guys have gotten, have any of you proactively reached out to people to generate these leads, or have they all come to you reactively based on previous experiences and previous relationships?
For me, it'd be reactively. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I just got my previous customer list together, so it is together. So hopefully I'll have a different answer next week if the same question comes up. But the ones I got were just, no effort on my part. You know what I mean? No proactive,
Right. Ryan, how about you, buddy? I see one friend. I see Steve Clark and Tony Chilemi. Those guys are always in your referral list.
They are. Mine are all reactive, yeah. I mean, it's very evident with my sheet. You would see PCRs or CCRs next to them if they were proactive,
Right.
And last month I did have a few, and I've hit the largest number of incoming leads that I've had since the mortgage crash. So I am seeing traction there, but I am definitely slacking with being proactive in regards to the incoming leads.
And it's kind of like Thor's hammer as it relates to picking up the phone and calling, but I'm asking you not to call people that don't already know you, like you, and trust you.
Right.
I'm actually asking you to pick up the phone and have conversations with people that supposedly mean something to you.
Yeah, it's a much warmer phone call.
Well, I mean, and I would really ask, if there's a fear around it, I'd be more than happy to work through a conversation with you over the phone on what you can really pick up the phone and talk to people about. And I have a hard time believing that Ryan or Scott, that you guys could pick up the phone and sit there and not have something to say to anybody about anything. Scott, your son and his sports. Ryan, your family and your wife's personal training and the fact that you're buying a house. And I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I wonder though, and I will tell you about my own personal practice. In the later years of it, I was purely reactive. I stopped going out there and pushing for new business. I simply just had my routine of asking my current clients for business. But that was when I was, when I was closing a consistent $1.5 to $2 million a month. I didn't need any more. It was like a volume knob. But with where both of you guys are at, trying to build momentum, it's going to take a lot more energy to get you where you want to go. And so back to that fight, back to the Coach Wooden's comment, players with the fight never lose the game. They just run out of time. Each of you guys are fighters. Each of you guys are committed to your success. There's no doubt that you guys want it, and you want it passionately. The question I have for you is, how much more time do you have? And so as we have these conversations weekly, it's really meant to give you guys nuggets of information or motivation to prompt you guys to do something a little bit different, but still keep it within your comfort zone and still keep it within your wheelhouse. And so my challenge for you guys this week is really this. If you're happy with the leads that you're getting, the number of the leads that you're getting and the conversion rates, then you don't really have to change anything. But if you want to find a way to increase the leads on your sheet, my advice to you is pick up the phone and find people that you want to have a conversation with first off, and then simply ask. That's it. Just ask.
Got it. Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense, Doug. I mean, mine personally is not fear-based. Mine comes more out of complacency than any fear.
Right.
But the result is the same regardless of the holdback,
Right. Right. No, I mean, it's all a matter of, in my mind, it's all a matter of how quickly do you want to get to the end that you're after.
Yeah.
One of the conversations that I have with my my two financial advisors has been, I've never looked at retirement as a definitive. I want retirement to be a choice. I want to be able to wake up in the morning and decide whether or not I want to come to work or not. I don't want it to be I have to go to work. When I'm 55 or when I'm 60, I want to be able to wake up in those years and be able to look at my finances and go, I don't really have to work today, but I choose to work because I love it, or I don't want to do it anymore and I'm just out, and know that financially I can fall back and be okay. And as we sit here today, the decisions that you make with regards to your business impact that that window of time. Without any question, the effort that you put in today determines whether or not that's going to be possible for you. And you guys love this business. There's no question. You guys have been in the business long enough that you have to love it. Otherwise, you're just going through the motions, and I don't think either one of you guys would be and be on this call.
Exactly. Yep.
So what I'm after for you guys is really this. It isn't a matter of how many leads that you guys should get. It's a matter of what you want to get. If you want more than 2 leads in the first 7 days, well, that means that by the end of the month, Scott, you'll have 10 leads on your pipeline based on what you're telling me is happening if the referrals keep coming in. But at some point, you're going to look at it and go, I didn't get enough leads in this month, or not enough of them converted. Well, I'm going to tell you that either A, you're not talking to enough people, or B, you're talking to enough people, but you're just not asking, or C, which is what I think is completely and totally inaccurate, is that you just aren't plugged into your business.
No, I agree. I mean, that's, for me, I had to, get the database, brought up, because I didn't even keep track of a single previous customer ever,
Right.
I closed it and just, so, I mean, I got that all now. So hopefully, like I said, next week when we have the same discussion, I can show a lot more that were me generated, you know what I mean, versus passively coming in,
Right.
Reactive, passive, whatever you want to call it,
The conversation of the just ask doesn't necessarily apply to just your clients. You have people in your life, Scott, that you know already. I'm sure your social circle is larger than just you and one other person. I'm sure that if you were to sit down with your realtors, and we've talked about that campaign before, picking up the phone and asking those agents to align you with other agents that are like-minded. I mean, there are several strategies that are not cold call, pound on the pavement, get rejected 5 out of 50 out of 55 times. It's start having more conversations. And so I learned when I started my practice, it was you just got to put yourself into situations where you're talking about what you do for a living. It's all a numbers game. The more people you talk to about what you do and why you do it, they'll see the value in it, and they'll start to want to help you with your business if you ask. But I think a lot of the times we're too passive, and we are afraid to ask because we don't want to deal with possibly the rejection, or we don't feel like it's an opportunity, it's an opportunistic time, or something else prevents us from doing it. But I'm going to ask that for this coming week, that it's really simple, that each of you spend enough time to ask 20 people, whether it's realtors or past clients or current clients, ask 20 people for business in your own style and in your own way. And if you want to pick up the phone and have a separate conversation with me about certain ways to do it, I'd be more than happy to. But I think 20 conversations between now and next Wednesday should yield you more referrals than just what you're going to be getting if you do nothing.
Oh, absolutely.
Is that fair? Is that something that is doable?
Oh, that's more than fair. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. No, I see no problem.
Well, yeah, if you break it down per day, that's only 2.5 phone calls a day, so that's definitely doable.
And I'm asking you to pick up the phone and talk to 2.5 people that what?
That know, like, and trust us already.
So why wouldn't you pick up the phone and talk to them about a sporting event or something local? Or, I mean, gee whiz, fun. I mean, there's enough going on in the world around us that I'm sure you can find some common ground to talk about, and then turn that into a conversation about, oh my God, it was so great hearing from you today. Hey, listen, before I let you go, can I ask you to do me a huge favor? We've been friends for a long time, or we've known each other, or we've done business, whatever the case is. I've reached a point in my career where I understand the value of everybody's relationships with me, and I've realized that you're one of those people that I value as it relates to who I would choose to work with if you had a mortgage need. What I'm looking for right now is other people just like you. I really want to align myself with some good people to build my practice with, because I find that because I build such great relationships and I spend so much time with them, it really means the world to me to work with people that I enjoy working with. So if you happen to talk to somebody over the next couple weeks or the next couple days that's talking about a mortgage or selling their house, could you do me a huge favor, Scott and Ryan? Just make sure that you mention my name to them, and tell them if they're ever looking for any mortgage advice, listen, I don't even have to do their loan. I just want to be able to pick up the phone and have a meaningful conversation with somebody about a mortgage, because I feel like I could give them some great, honest advice and some direction. And whether they choose to use me or not is no big deal, but I promise if they do call and I do talk to them, they will call you back and say thank you. Can you do that for me?
I like that. That's perfect.
So how hard is that to have a conversation like that with anybody?
It's not.
It's not.
Not at all, yeah. Yeah, I talked to two friends yesterday just
a what? Hello?
Hello, you there?
I just dropped off.
Oh. I was going to say, I just heard a little beep or
Yeah, he just dropped off. So no, Scott, for me, this message I really wanted to direct more towards you. You know, what you're trying to build and that escape velocity that we've talked about in the past, how much effort it takes to kind of break free from where you're at, this has to be something that you commit to. Because if you don't, and if you just sit back, Ryan, you back? I think he's trying to log on. If you just sit back and wait for it to happen, I don't think you're going to achieve any of the goals that you have.
Well, the light bulb for me is when you mentioned that the Just Gas campaign, that mindset is through all facets of your life, you know. It's not
absolutely
just whatever, you know, the one or two agents you're trying to work with or five or what, you know, closings currently. Take that past, you know, that mindset past, you know, through the different groups. You know, I mean, current agents, the ones you're trying to work, you know. In other words, it clicked to me to try everybody you do, try to get more referrals from each and every one of them. You know what I mean? And it's a 2 sentences, 3 sentences in the conversations you're probably already having, or if you're not, are easy calls to have that conversation. You know, I said
absolutely.
You know,
absolutely.
My previous customers. I mean, you know, I'd never called them. That's an easy call, and it's successful.
And you know what?
They're all good.
And the conversation your past clients or whomever you're talking to is not about the mortgage. You're not calling them to sell them on referring you. That's the nuance that I want you to get from this. I don't want you to call them just to ask them for business. You have to come at it in a way that is very relational, which is why I'm having the conversation with you, Scott, is because you're a very relational person. I think a lot of the times we don't ask because we're too concerned about the relationship. All I want you to do is take what you would normally have a conversation with anybody about and end it with that part. End it with, hey, listen, can you do me a favor? Hey, listen, oh, by the way. You have to take it and turn it into asking for the business in a way that's not salesy. And I'm saying this way for you specifically, Scott, is because you're such a great person. You're so, you're so soft-spoken and so conversational in some respects that it would surprise me that you couldn't have a conversation with anybody through the course of a week and go, hey, by the way, can I just ask you a quick favor real quick? And get into what you're trying to do and be honest about it. Be heartfelt and sincere and genuine. I mean, there's no harm in telling people your life a little bit. The vulnerability that you share begets vulnerability. And the more open you are with people, the more open they are with you. And you can very openly and honestly say, I'm starting to do coaching, or, you know, a lot of people might know that you've recently gone through this, you know, the separation between you and your ex, and that you're recommitting, or whatever the case may be. But it has to be honest. It has to be vulnerable, because that's what people connect to. And the more open and honest you are with them about why you're doing it, the more likely they're going to be to want to help you, because they genuinely understand where you're at, because they've gone through something similar in their life that put them into a position where they would love to have had somebody help them.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, it's definitely resonating as far as that mindset, you know.
Okay. Well, let's see how it goes.
Well, I got my stuff, my target list, and I'll definitely no problem with the 20. You know.
So what I want, and I know Ryan can hear this, Ryan and Scott both. What I want you guys to do is on your lead tracker next week, I want you guys to put the names of the people and their phone numbers of who you asked to help you or ask
Okay.
for the business. You can include them in your lead tracker.
Gotcha. All right, I can do that.
All right, so next week I better see 20 plus your other leads that you guys currently have on here by Wednesday.
I'm on it.
And there's not, and based on what Ryan said, that's 2.5 people a day, buddy. I gotta imagine you talk to 2.5 people a day doing something.
Oh yeah, no, it's a
cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, guys.
I'm
fighting a really bad head cold, so my med's about to wear off here. So I'm going to shut it down for the day. I appreciate you guys showing up and attending, Scott. I'm excited to see what this is gonna be by the time we go to the conference in a couple weeks. Ryan, thanks for staying on, buddy. I appreciate it, and we'll talk to you guys next week. Good luck, and if you guys have questions in between now and then, just pick up the phone and have a call.
All right, thanks, boss. See you.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.